Yeah, there is a saying, work like a captain, play like a pirate. So no matter how much effort you put outside the exam, it's those 2 hours that matter. I went through the notification. There are two keywords in the notification, which is effective and exact expression and succinct. So these are the keywords that guided me in the essay. Explicitly mention whatever your idea is in the essay and be logical. And I have referred to the compilations of VisionIAS also, the valued added materials about the judgments, the committee recommendations and all. So I think that's the key in my GS2 score. PYQs are the Bible for GS3 in my opinion, because there are repeating themes. Put data in GS3 and don't forget to elaborate an extra dimension in GS3. I pulled myself up with the help of my wife. Of course, she had been the instrumental support system for me, and my mother also. And my sister was doing some course correction whenever I used to wander off here and there.
Hello everyone, welcome to this very special conversation brought to you by VisionIAS. When it comes to civil services exam, it's everyone's dream to find his or her name on the final merit list. Many people try, but very few succeed. Today we have with us one such successful aspirant, who is Mr. Sai Krishna from Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh. He has secured an All India rank of 125. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So you're from BITS Pilani.
Yes.
You completed your graduation in 2016, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And you also had a service stint. You
Yes.
worked in different companies. So how did it occur to you to try to become a civil servant? Although it's a very cliched question, I know.
Right. So yeah, I had this on my list since my school itself. So it was a vague idea that I like it. I was interested in social studies during the school. So during the graduation also, I had this on my back of my mind, but I have never actively tried to pursue it. I thought after graduation I'll work for a while and pursue it. So this got intensified during my third year during my IT job that I have taken up in 2019. So then I have started to skim around the books, the economy, the psychology. I was interested in psychology. So as an optional, so after that kind of concrete idea that I can do it, I'll be able to endure the journey, I'll be interested, I'll be able to make attempts. Then I have also a couple of my seniors in the services whom I used to talk from time to time. So that's how it got concretized, and I started my first attempt in 2021 after leaving my job, which I've worked for 5 years. So yeah, that's how it has been.
So it's very normal for a candidate to think about the exam or attempting in that particular exam, and then going through the syllabus and coming up with the right strategy.
Yes.
So what was your strategy from the beginning, or did it change? Like, how did you plan to cover the syllabus?
Yes, sir. Often candidates, including me, get flooded with the vastness of the syllabus, owing to the number of reference books, the material available outside, as opposed to the earlier situation where there is a shortage of material, and it's the task of the aspirant is to go and find out the material. Now it is to discriminate between what way to restrict oneself to. So I think the completion of syllabus rests on you being wise enough to restrict yourself to certain amount of material. For example, refer to only one book of polity, and one book from economy, and one newspaper, and one book for history, geography, and all those things each. NCERTs obviously stand as the conventional and time-tested reference sources, and above all of these things, owing to the syllabus, the PYQs give you the best idea of what the exam wants from the candidates. So that I realized after my third attempt to focus more on PYQs. Earlier I solved the PYQs, but I put more focus on PYQs, especially in this attempt where I could comfortably clear the prelims. Cutoff. I don't know the marks yet, but yes. So the restriction of the material that you are accessing and the understanding the exam should be at the center of this preparation rather than covering the syllabus and gaining the knowledge. Yeah, that's complementary, but understanding the exam and preparing accordingly is the key here. That's where most of the time is lost for the candidates.
So you need to have this framework in mind that out of all the noise, you have to pick the right resources.
Right.
And as you mentioned that psychology was your optional subject, we'll discuss that later.
Yeah.
But before that, I'd like to know, if we just proceed sequentially, some people they divide their time between mains and prelims preparation.
Yes, yes.
Was your preparation like, did you focus on both the aspects of the exam together, or you had to divide time between prelims and mains?
Yes, in my case, I had to divide time between prelims and mains. Although the content is the same, but the way we look at information that we are accessing is different for prelims and mains. For prelims, it's a recognition task, all in all, from psychological terminology. So you need to recognize which option is the best suited for the question. But in the mains, it's a recall task and analytical task, where you'll have to generate certain perspectives in the exam, and you'll have to go deep into a topic, let's say essay or ethics, during the case studies. So the mains is a bit different ball game than prelims. So although it's the same information that we are looking at, the way we look at differs. So that's how I have bifurcated my time between prelims and mains. And interview is again a different ball game. So then also the information stays the same, and the way we look at it, the aspects that we need to retain, that changes with the stages.
That means same knowledge, same information, but what you're going to make of that knowledge and information, it depends
Right.
on the particular
Stage.
part of the stage of the
Yes, yes,
examination.
yes.
Well said. Now for prelims, what was your strategy? Like combined, I mean, if you focus on the static part and the current affairs part and taking mock tests. So how did you divide your time between all these three things?
Out of my five attempts at prelims, I could clear three of them in 2022, 23, and 2025. So every time I resorted to solving test series and certain specialized simulation tests that, for example, Abhyas, which helps in gauging the performance in an exam environment. So prelims is also a stress test, in my opinion. You'll have to be confident about the option that you're picking. If you're going for the second thought, you're gone. So that happened with me in 2024 attempt. I was not much confident because of the less time that I have given them. So every time I solved a lot of tests, I wouldn't say a lot as compared to others. I have solved 20 mock full-length tests on an average for 2022, 24, and 25 attempt. For 2023, I didn't have much time. I have referred to PYQs and more in a more focused manner in this year. So PYQs and solving tests is the key for prelims, and revise the things that you have been studying as you get closer to the exam. Don't go for any extra material which might get you overwhelmed, or which might make you feel that you are not prepared enough. So because it doesn't have an end in the end. मतलब खत्म नहीं होता. Like
Right.
you'll never feel ready for it. But the key is the recognition task. As long as you can do that, that will get you out.
Out of where to put that full stop, right?
Yes.
So, and for static part, as you said in the beginning, that one should start with the NCRTs.
Yes. Yes.
So, what did you do? What extra did you do? Like how to read the newspaper? For example, some people they read from end to end.
Right. Right.
So, is it the right strategy, or you have to be very selective in choosing the newspaper articles or magazines?
Right. Newspaper has always been a what to say, scary part for me. I wasn't able to keep up with newspaper, at least in my first three attempts, even the fourth attempt. So for prelims, I think I was referring to the NCRTs and the basic books, the conventional reference sources like Lakshmikant for polity and Shankar Ganesh for economy, where the basic concepts are covered, and the rest are covered through the magazines and compilations that are available in the market. Science and technology was the PT 365 was very instrumental in science and technology. So that way I could just ensure that the coverage is sufficient for me to at least answer 60 to 70% of the questions, at least to be familiar with the 60 to 70% of the questions, so to make at least informed guesses.
Now, these days, many people have this fear of completing the syllabus for CSAT, because you're
Yes.
from an engineering background and graduated from a good college. I don't think it was a huge challenge for you.
Yeah.
But still, if we want to address this particular fear of the aspirants, what would be your suggestion?
Yeah, there is a saying, work like a captain, play like a pirate. So no matter how much effort you put outside the exam, it's those 2 hours that matter. That's more relevant in terms of CSAT because the time pressure that I think UPSC is exploiting in these recent years. The time pressure and the lengthiness of the paper puts candidates at pressure during the exam, and you'll have to be picky. That's where the game changes. You'll have to see whether maths part is tough that year, or comprehension part is tough that year, or the reasoning part is tough that year. So by making this discrimination, I think uh, in the first one hour you may end up covering a lot of questions that will put you at the edge, and that will ease the pressure, so that you can, in a relaxed manner, you can spend the next hour by making minimal mistakes. So it's the identification part in CSAT, where you'll be able to identify the questions that suit you, that you will be able to solve. Develop that skill during while attempting mock tests or even PYQs. That's about CSAT mainly.
Okay, so that's about CSAT.
Yes.
So that completes the prelims part. Now coming to the mains part. So there are 9 subjects in total.
Yes.
Two such subjects in which the marks are not counted, and 7 subjects whose marks are counted.
Yes.
So what was the strategy for each of the 4 GS papers, essay, and lastly after this we'll discuss your optional part.
Yes. So, sir, for essay, during my second attempt, I was focusing on meeting the general standards of the topper copies and general perception in the market. So there I couldn't fare well enough. So then I read the notification thoroughly this year. There was lesser time this year between prelims and mains, so I thought I'll just focus on the core essentials. I went through the notification. There are 2 keywords in the notification, which is effective and exact expression, and succinct. So these are the keywords that guided me in the essay. So earlier I used to write essays in a more artistic, creative, and cryptic manner, where the reader might enjoy the hidden messages or something. But in the end, it's a lot of work on the evaluators. So by thinking from their perspective, it's the exact expression helps them to judge what I'm trying to say. So explicitly mention whatever your idea is in the essay, and be logical, and don't try to fit into some rigid dimensions like pestle and all. So if it suits your thought process, that's fine, but apart from that, if it's blocking you from elaborating your ideas and expressing yourself and all those things, that might be a fix. In the end, it's about how well you are able to touch the nerves of the examiner. So that's about essay. In GS1, I haven't done much hard work. During my second attempt, I scored well. I got 108 marks. This time I got 97. That was surprising for me, but yeah, it didn't require much of my effort. Prelims preparation helped in history part and geography part, and the society part. So I have referred to 2 NCRTs, the sociology 11th and 12th, and which are in the Indian context, not the theoretical, the actual discipline part, the Indian applied sociology part. So those 2 NCRTs have helped me in understanding the keywords. Keywords are the key in sociology, society related questions. So that's about GS1. In GS2, it's very dynamic. The current affairs are central to it, and I have referred to the compilations of IAS, also the value added materials about the judgments, the committee recommendations, and all. So I think that's the key in my GS2 score. I was able to score fairly well in my both the mains, 112 and 107, I guess.
Great.
So practice more in GS2. GS2, it's the game of being able to put the right data points, right references in the right question at the right place with the right arguments. So that's about GS2. In GS3, I happen to observe that many of the aspirants are spending disproportionately more amount of time in GS3 because of the vastness of the syllabus, at the same time low scoring trends of GS3 paper. But for me, the GS3, I reckoned on the PYQs. PYQs are the Bible for GS3 in my opinion, because there are repeating themes even among such a distributed nature of the syllabus topics. So refer to PYQs and take the inputs of economic survey and budget, and any the PIB highlights, that the year-end highlights that PIB gives of the economy, some noteworthy articles that you'll come across when you are skimming through Telegram channels or even newspapers. So put data in GS3 and don't forget to elaborate an extra dimension in GS3. So if they're asking about what are the schemes related to the employment in the rural sector that government is implementing, and what needs to be done. If this is the question, you can go a step extra ahead, that saying these are the shortcomings and match it with what needs to be done. So one extra dimension aspect helped me probably this year. I didn't put any effort in GS3 this year due to time limitation, but I could score 7 marks more than my previous attempt. I scored 87 in the previous attempt. This time I scored 94. So that's about GS3. Refer to PYQs and mention data points from standard sources, which the people are aware of generally. And in GS4, it's all about practice. It's all about putting ethics keywords and practicing case studies and finishing the paper in time. That's the major issue that I have faced in GS4 and many others face due to the lengthiness of the paper. So, and GS4 gives you an opportunity to expose your personality. So, customize according to yourself. Go for some generic rules that people are following, the toppers are following, but in the end, you don't shy away from putting your own creativity in that. You can take the references of movies, take the references of anything, even the story in your neighborhood, anything. You can take those references as long as it's suiting in the answer. So yeah, I have scored around the average only in GS4. So that was my approach. Yeah, that's.
And some people, they say that it's better to start with the case studies, then focus on the static part. What is your strategy?
Yeah, in my case, I don't want to have an extra thing in my mind to skip pages and all. So some people manage to do that very well. One of my friends himself does that by keeping the questions that he's not familiar with towards the last.
Correct.
I am very afraid that I might miss them. I have missed them in a couple of mock tests that I have given. So I stuck to answering those questions in the numerical order only. So in case studies, in ethics paper, I have answered till 6B, and then I used to exhaust that 1.5 hour, the time limit that I have set for the theoretical questions. I used to leave 1 or 2 questions, and I used to progress towards case studies. And if I am able to finish the case studies in time, I used to attend these two questions. In my both the attempts, I had to leave one 10 marker, and I had to compromise into case studies by giving lesser amount of time, 3 to 4 minutes lesser. So that was a struggle for me. But again, in my other papers, other GS papers, I attempted the 15 markers first and then 10 markers in the same numerical order. And as I have had to leave one question in each of these GS papers in this attempt.
Okay. So that means it varies from individual to individual.
Right,
how you
right,
want to
right.
go about completing the paper.
Yeah, that you can test it in during while you are giving the mocks.
Mocks.
And don't try to change your approach on the final day. Stick to whatever you have done till the penultimate mock test that you have given.
Correct. Now, because you mentioned mocks, so how many mocks did you take for your mains exam?
Yeah, in 2022, I have given 3 sets of mocks, GS 1 to 4, and I have written 4 to 5 essay papers, as I fairly remember. This time, I have given only 2 sets of these GS 1 to 4 papers, and I have written only 1 essay paper.
Okay.
But I have cultivated this habit of thinking through the essay. So I used to discuss with my wife to elaborate a topic, to expand a topic, and to find the arenas where I can be unique and interesting. I think that's where the essay might get impressive, where it stands out among others, because there are only 8 topics, out of which many might be choosing the popular topics, easier topics. So there you'll have to stand out for the examiner to give some extra credit. So that's about essay and these things. This time I have tried to simulate the mains papers. I have given both the sets of GS 1 to 4 papers in 2 days span. Abhyas is one of them. So I have given Abhyas. Like that practice makes you more resilient and less worrisome on the actual the exam days, because as you get tired, your recall might get impacted.
Correct.
If you have practice, if you are familiar with such an ordeal, so So you might be able to manage your tiredness and the revision and during the exam mental state part well. So that's the thing I focused on this time, and thankfully it worked.
Now we'll come to that, like what kept you motivated. But before that, we'd like to know from you, choosing this very unique optional subject, which is not one of the popular optional subjects like PSIR, PubAd, Anthro, and Socio. Psychology it was.
Yes. Yes.
So what made you choose it?
Yes, I had this amusement for psychology during my graduation also. I haven't actually pursued it, but uh, I thought this might be my optional when I go for the civil services exam. And then when I tried reading the NCRTs when I was starting in 2021, that felt very interesting. That gave me opportunity to think about myself, to analyze. There are a lot of examples to analyze, to be interested in, to be amused about, to be motivated to continue, even if it takes multiple attempts, to look forward to going back to and revising and answering those questions. So interest was my core criterion in choosing the psychology. And in 2017, if I'm not wrong, or 2018, there was a topper from Bits Pilani only, my college senior Anurag Jain. He scored 333 marks in psychology.
Psychology.
So I thought it gave me some confidence that yeah, it's not low scoring indeed, but it depends on candidate who is attempting the exam. But there might be trends that have come across with the closer to the mean, the regression to the mean part.
Correct.
So where the general scores are a bit on the average side only, you can't score extravagantly high. So that the interest part is the key driver for me to choose psychology, and I could do well in my first mains with very less effort, like 3 to 4 months of effort. So yeah, that's how I stuck to it till the fifth attempt.
That means it's very important to draw inspiration from the right individual instead of going for
Right. Look
looking
for
for
the possibilities of
possibilities.
success.
Yes. Well said. Interview is something that confuses everyone because it's the most subjective part of the entire process, and it carries 275 marks.
Yes. Yes.
And you also interviewed in the year 2022,
Yes. Yes.
2000 CSE 2022.
Right.
So how was your strategy different from that year's?
Yeah, sir. So in my previous attempt, I chose to apply the same strategy as mains to the interview, which is minimizing the external interference. So I pretty much kept it to myself. I didn't have any study group. I never shared my answers to anyone looking for the feedback or anything. I used to read them after a while, where I used to find. So I applied the same to my interview also. I thought I'll just travel inward. I'll just try speaking in front of my wife. Try to be logical and non-controversial and balanced. Those are the keywords in the notification also. Balance of judgment, mental alertness, and all these things. So, and I have, as a consequence to this, I have given lesser number of mocks during my previous attempt, which has rendered me nervous on the interview day. I gave into pressure on the interview day and I scored 162, where on the hindsight, I feel I had a very good opportunity to answer those questions which were in my hitting zone. So yeah, that stands as a small regret. But this year I went on for giving as many mocks I can to uh, practice it, to get it into our subconscious. Yeah, that it's fine, and to focus on being present during the interview. That's the reason I have got myself acquainted with many mocks, so that I'm seasoned enough to just sit there and talk. That's it.
So there was a drastic change in your strategy. That
Yes,
time you're
yes.
slightly introvertish. This time you said,
Yeah,
you have
I
to
opened up.
come out of your cocoon.
Right, right.
Very. And so did you have to follow the same strategy that in covering up current affairs and other things for your interview, for example, to answer a particular question in a good fashion?
Right.
Did you go through current affairs sources also?
Yeah, I have gone through two newspapers, the Indian Express and the Hindu. With the Hindu, I had the Vijayawada edition to be acquainted with Andhra
Local
news,
news.
mota mota. So I think there is a bit of overemphasis on knowledge part in the interview. Like even I have received this as feedback in many of the mock interviews that you need to improve on this part. You need to know more. So so this time I consciously brushed off those feedbacks which are not central to the personality test keywords that are mentioned in the notification. I stuck to these aspects of balanced judgment. If you know it, you can say. The integrity part. If you don't know something, you can say no. And obviously, everyone don't know, can't know everything. But there are certain trivial areas where you are expected to know, and that puts a subconscious bias in the interviewer that if he doesn't know this,
Correct.
like that negative remark kinds of thing. So make sure you know that the things that you should know, which is DAF. So DAF and current affairs is sufficient enough. Don't extravagantly focus on the current affairs. One newspaper being generally familiar with the famous issues that general public is aware of, and having an opinion, forming an opinion is the most important part in interview. They'll ask about your opinions. What do you think? In the most of the questions, and so for you to form an opinion, you will have to have ruminated that topic for long enough. So if there are so many of those topics, you won't get that opportunity. So it's better to stick with the major issues, ruminate on those, spend time on those ideas, form an opinion, rather than exposing yourself to many and ending up giving average answers in the interview. So for me, there were 3 to 4 questions that I could say no during the interview.
That means instead of widening the breadth, just try to go deeper and deeper
Yeah,
and see
just
it.
be aware of most of the things that you come across, but in on the key aspects, form opinions. I'm not saying that you need not expand, but get exposed to as many information as possible. But be sure to form opinion on major aspects.
Correct. Good strategy. Very honest strategy. Now coming to the staying motivated part, and I think you're also one of the very special candidates
Right.
who was already married.
Yes. Yes.
Because so, how did that help you? You've also mentioned your wife, who was a
Right. Right.
very guiding companion
Yeah. Right.
throughout your preparation.
Yes.
So, how did you keep yourself motivated? For example, there must have been lows also because you're a bright candidate and not getting the result in the first attempt.
Right.
That must have troubled you a little bit.
Yeah.
So, could you please share your experience on that part?
Sir, initially I was a bit, uh, I'd say, overconfident about, because I had good encounters with the competition during my earlier life. I studied in BITS as a KVPY scholar. I also cleared AFCAT SSB, which has lesser success rate than UPSC, which I figured out in the last month actually. So there I wasn't emotionally attached with those things, but this has always been my longing, I'd say, to clear this exam and to be a public servant. So this emotional attachment with this exam has somewhere increased the power differential between me and the exam. So there, after the attempts, the handling of the failure became a bit too much consuming. So where I have wasted months, and so people can avoid that. Immediately after the result, if it doesn't turn out in your favor, you can focus on the plan B. At least during, if you get closer to the exam, yeah, you can focus back on it again because you know it. You know the intricacies of it. With one proper attempt, you will know them. So this has kept up my motivation. I have worked in IT for 5 years, so I had a plan B. I can go back to that company anytime. And in addition to that, I also got a job in state PCS in 2023 after my third prelims, which I have given after not making it to the final list after the interview in 2022. That was the lowest when I couldn't clear to 2023 prelims after I reached the interview in the previous attempt, and that too because of my complacency in CSAT, which I was overconfident about. So yeah, and I pulled myself up with the help of my wife. Of course, she had been the instrumental support system for me, and my mother also, and my sister was doing some course correction whenever I used to wander off here and there. So these are the 3 people that I attribute most of the social support system that I received, and I have a couple of friends in services. In 2023, he got selected. He is the reason for my mains. I could clear both the mains I had appeared. So these are the things that have kept my morale up and motivated me to go for it again, and kept my nerves in control to not uh, develop negativity, because positivity is a centrality to put efforts and even to perform well during the exam and during the interview.
So it's very important to have the right people around.
Right.
So now, any last message for the aspirants, because you have already shared your honest
Yeah.
strategy,
Right.
how you felt and how you dealt with several challenges during your journey. So, what would be your last message for the aspirants, those who have already done well but they failed to make it to the merit list?
Right. Right. One thing that I have noticed and felt very sad about is the negativity that is spread in the market. You have direct interaction with people who are in this process. You have mentors. Uh, Interact with them more, and have a solid plan B. Don't. One thing I really want to upcoming aspirants is to don't plan your life around this exam. Like, people are taking up graduation subjects as the optional, like they're picking the graduation subjects which they want to take as optional in UPSC, which means the graduation subject is centered around this exam, which means the plan B is not much divergent from this exam, which means you are limiting your potential. You are not exposing yourself to the diversity of experiences which you will face during the university. They focus on the broader personality. This is just an exam, this is just a job. uh, uh, it Obviously it carries a lot of diversity and a lot of opportunity to serve the public, but again, planning the entire life around this is not wise. So I recommend to have a plan B to explore your interests during universities, and to get into this exam with proper support and guidance, and spend only those many of years which you can uh, afford to. So that's my message.
Thank you so much for valuable time,
Thank you.
Mr. Sai Krishna. So, dear viewers, I think it was a very honest, I would say, whatever inputs came from Mr. Sai Krishna, those are very honest. And there is something for every type of candidate to learn from Sai Krishna, whatever, like, despite having a wonderful journey, it took him 5 attempts to clear this exam. And especially about this special optional subject, psychology, which many people do not choose. So he is actually a true inspiration. He secured a very good score, 290. And we'll keep coming up with more such interviews. Till then, wish you all the very best.